Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jonathan, and welcome to Money Talks, where we want to offer you financial information and meet you where you are financially so that you're able to stick to your budget, manage to pay off your debt, and begin to save on your path to building wealth. Today, guys, I want to share with you things that I found help people or keep people from really being successful with their money. If this is your first time joining me here on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and you will be notified every time I upload a new video. So there are so many things when you think about trying to get a hold of your money and really starting to dive deep. But I want to share with you simple things you can do that will help you move forward and start to make real progress with your money. Not to mention, really level set the expectation so you can understand what is really going to happen as you transform. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number one, you have to shift your mindset. Now, there are so many things, and I've mentioned this on previous videos. I'm sure other YouTubers have mentioned it on their videos, or anyone who deals in the finance space. They'll always say, hey, you got to shift your mindset. But the thing about shifting your mindset is really understanding that there are new things you need to know when it comes to your money. Like, number one, your money has to have some sort of plan, some sort of system, and it has to operate that way in order for you to make progress. When you shift your mindset, you have to simply decide that, hey, I need to make my money grow, or I want to build wealth, or I want to pay off debt, whatever the case may be. Understand your money is actually proactive. Money from anyone is actually proactive. So when I say it's proactive, I mean that instead of you constantly trying to fix problems of things you did yesterday or last year or things of that nature, when it comes to your money, you have to start looking at what are things coming to me. So when you're trying to fix your money, you're actually going to be looking at it two ways. You have your plan for how you're going to pay off things that maybe you were in debt or maybe you didn't budget well for something. But when you're thinking about how do you change things going forward with your mindset, you're always becoming more aware of what are my new expenses going to be? What are new challenges that I'm going to have? And when you do that, that means you really start to plan and prepare for those things. Now, that takes me to number two. You have to have a plan. The first thing is your mindset. You have to really get things in your mind right and understand that I have to start planning for these things coming forward, because a lot of it can really kind of catch you off guard. Now, I will tell you, you won't be able to simply plan for everything. That's why people make the use of sinking funds, where they just have some petty cash or some sort of maybe $400 or $500 just set to the side for anything that may come. Other people, they have a miscellaneous category, something of that nature. But for the most part, 80%, maybe 85% of the stuff that's happening to you in your budget, you can actually write down and plan for. What expenses do you have? What money do you plan to spend? What money are you going to save? Those are things that you need to understand, has to be written down, or has to have some sort of automated system to where when it's time for you to have your money, you've already set aside everything that you need for either bills, paying off debt, or saving to start to build wealth. And that kind of takes me to the next thing. You must have some goal for your money. Now, yeah, overall, I think we all want to be wealthy. And if you're watching channels like this or other YouTubers who talk about money and finance or just growing and being wealthy, that's the overall goal of what you want to get with your money. But just like losing weight, or just like any task, maybe you're building a house, or even at work when you're doing an enormous launch, whatever the case may be, that's the end goal. What are the tiny steps? What are the day-to-day things that you need to do so that you can actually move forward? And that's where you have to look at for number three. What are you going to actually do to implement this plan? You have to have goals. You have to have some sort of direction that you're trying to take your money. Now, that can be a couple different things, meaning you can save and pay off debt at the same time if your income allows that for that bandwidth. But if your income is a little bit less, or when you look at your income, you're like, hey, it's not going to be more efficient, or it's going to take me a really, really extremely long time to either pay off this debt and save at the same time, then you have to focus on one area. Now, in general, when you focus on one area, it just automatically puts a lot of speed and progress behind it. But if you make the income and you don't have much debt, you can save and build wealth at the same time. But realize everything comes down to your situation. How old are you? Have you started saving for retirement? Have you started saving for your emergency fund? What are your plans in the next few years? All those things kind of take account. But the biggest piece is when you're deciding to save and pay off debt is what's going to be, how long is it going to take you to pay off the debt? How much income do you have? And about how old are you? And the age only comes in because you want to factor that when you're sitting with your financial coach or sitting with your financial advisor to understand, hey, what's going to be the fastest thing if I'm not investing to get me to investing? Those are things you want to be made aware of. So you shifted your mindset. You're starting to build your plan. Maybe you're automating some things, setting up some sinking funds, whatever the case may be. You even started giving yourself some goals. But what is going to be your actionable step? Even after you set some goals, those are things that the goals, the plan, the shifting of your mindset, those are all things you can do from sitting on your couch. But what are you going to do to get some goal? Now it's time to take action. So when you talk about taking action, the first thing you have to do is you have to get a system, a plan. You have to get a way for you to control your money that works for you. That could be apps, Mint, YouNeedABudget.com, EveryDollar. So many different apps that you can typically use for a budget to help you formulate. Maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you start automating, or maybe you write it down on your spreadsheet and have your own formulas and have a game with it. Or maybe you write it down on pen and paper at your home, and that's the thing that gets you. Whatever the case may be, your first actionable step is to get some sort of view that works for you, that you can comfortably say, hey, when I want to check on my money and I know where everything is, this is where I'm going to look. So that's going to take some trial and error. Or if you already know what that is, go ahead and slip into it. I will tell you, I put a budget sheet in my Facebook group, the Money Talks group, or I also put in a net worth statement where you simply can just fill in that information if you think that'll be helpful. And those things are free, but you have to join the Facebook group, Money Talks, just to get that information. So what is going to be your next actionable step? Your next actionable step is, as you look at what you're spending, then you say, hey, do I need this? Like, can I survive? Can I operate? Now, I realize from a world perspective, we've all shifted. There are many people working from home, and you have to do your job different, or, so your living space may have kids. You need certain things in your home now that you didn't need before. But there are still things that you can actually go through and say, hey, I'm going to get rid of this for a time. I'm going to defer on using this, or I'm going to sell some stuff. I'm going to cut back on some services that I don't really utilize that much. I'm going to see if there's a more efficient way I can use my cable. Maybe I'm not going to have cable in every room. Maybe I'll just have it in one room. The same thing with internet. I'm not going to have all these routers. The thing is, when you think about money, the best way is to start small and build your way up. When it comes to expenses, you always want to start small, meaning if you have a cable bill and when you're talking to them, they're saying, oh, you're a gamer, or oh, you like Netflix, or oh, you're a movie person, or you like to game and watch Netflix and watch cable. Oh, you need this 1,500 internet package. Not necessarily. You can use the smaller internet package and see how it works for you. Because the fact is, when you lock into these agreements, no matter who it is, typically it's a lot easier to move up in package than it is to move down in package. They'll always do something and allow you to take more money. But when it comes to decreasing expenses, that's where usually you'll have a challenge. So I always suggest look at your expenses. What can you go to a base model for or simply get rid of? And then see if you can actually operate on that for 30 days. See if it actually works for you and you're not really having as many problems as you thought. Trial and error. That's how you start to figure out what is your baseline amount that you need to operate on. The second piece of action I want you to do is start to realize what actually got you in this scenario. Why do you spend the way you spend? What does it give you when you're spending money for extra, you're eating out excessively or you always got to shop? What is it actually doing for you? There's a reason for it. And it's not to go too in depth or point the finger at anyone, because we all have our vices. We all have our things that we can purchase and indulge ourselves with. But the fact is, when you're starting to build your financial goals, that indulgence could be the thing that's separating you from real financial progress. And getting a hold of the reason why you indulge in that particular thing and how it correlates to maybe you grew up a certain way. Maybe you've always been challenged with something, and that's one of the ways you kind of financially medicate yourself with it. The one thing I want you to understand is it's not that I don't want you to do things. Do I buy clothes? Do I buy things? Yeah. But when you see excessiveness, that's where you want to pause and say, hey, this may be a challenge. And realize for a great amount of people, money is challenges and things that have come where I don't even know why I do this or things of that nature, that came from just being born into it. So another way you could look at it is nearly 80% plus of people who become millionaires are first generation rich. And the reason for that is because that person made a difference in their particular culture. But they also knew that they realized they had to overcome challenges if they wanted to be successful with their money. And one of the things they did was really look at why they're spending what they're spending. Next actionable step you want to do is, since you kind of wrote down your money, you found a little system that works, put ways in there that you can celebrate. So you want to celebrate a little differently. So ways you can celebrate is maybe you saved $100 this week, or maybe you budgeted every week. That's something you celebrate about. Maybe you starting to build your business plan because you're cutting back on so much. That's something to celebrate about. Maybe you paid off a small debt. That's something to celebrate about. Maybe after 3-4 months of doing this, you got a little bit of savings, but you still have debt, but you didn't have the savings 3-4 months ago. That's something to celebrate about. Maybe you're able to pay for gas and not really think about how much you're spending. That's something to celebrate. Realize you have to celebrate small wins along the way. And that's a real big piece of having the goals, because it gives you little mile markers. Every time you hit a goal, you have something to celebrate. But you celebrate more internally. You develop gratitude. Celebrate meaning I'm not expecting you to throw a party every time, but you give yourself a pat on the back. You get yourself around people who are going to encourage you and really make a big deal about you hitting this mile marker. Because anytime you make financial progress, it's about you doing more of the positive activities that moves a person forward and less about less of the bad activities that held you back. So that's how I want you to look at your money from a more actionable step. These are actual challenges with your money is just the most important thing when you think about progress with your money. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of it comes down to the plan you have and the day-to-day things that you are doing. What are you aiming for? Where are you going? But I want you to understand, you can actually be wealthy. Did this pandemic kind of catch you off guard? Are you out of work right now? Are you a parent and you're starting to stress and you realize I'm always seem to have an issue when it comes to money. I just can't make the financial progress that I make. Maybe you're meeting your needs, but maybe you're just tired of meeting your needs. Maybe you want to do things outside. For me, I was very, very frustrated with money always being the issue why I didn't do something. I just wanted power in my situation that said, if I'm not doing it, it's not going to be because I don't have the money. It's because I simply made a choice. And yeah, a lot of these things that I walk through are choices that you have to make. And the biggest one of all, before I let you go today, and if you stay with me with this video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But the biggest thing that you have to realize is most important for your money is who are you hanging around with and what information are you taking into yourself. Because the thing is, if you never are shown a different way, and if people aren't telling you different things that you haven't heard before, then you're not going to really understand that there's a different way to do things. It's going to be a more conceptual to you than reality. And my biggest example and my best example of it is, if you're a person that you have 10 friends, 5 friends for simplicity's sake, and you make $50,000, but your other 4 friends are making 100 plus, the good thing about it is, if you keep having conversation with those friends and you talk to them about money, talk about your career, talk about things they do, you will find that the things that they're doing that got them 100 grand and got them to that level of income will impact you. And if you do them, your income will grow. Will it grow tomorrow? Probably not. But I guarantee you, over a year or 2 time, if you really dove deep with them, then you started implementing some of the things that they did, it will grow your income. It will work. And the thing about wealth is, when we teach this, these are things that, yeah, we get a little bit more intelligent as the years go by, but a lot of these things are things that came from people who are wealthy. A lot of information I share with you are things I've read from studies, things I experienced when I help coach people, or they're things that when I met with millionaires, just listen to what they did specifically. This is how they did their wealth. It's a different time. I get it. And yeah, a lot of millionaires now, they're dealing with the fact that a lot of their assets are in traditional money, 59% of them. But you have an opportunity to, oh, you know what? I can build wealth just like they build wealth. But hey, I got this Roth 401k thing. And so when I get that age, I'll have tax-free growth. Things like that are smaller and minute efficiencies that we've learned to hybrid the process of becoming wealthy. So I would tell you, look at the people you're hanging around. Don't stop hanging around with people that you've been friends with or whatever if you enjoy their company. But I want you to start hanging around people that are doing things that you want to do. So if you want to be in trucking, or if you're trying to be a small business owner, or if you're trying to advance your career in a specific space, get around some people that can do that. Get in a Facebook group. Reach out to people online. You will be surprised at how many people actually kick back and will respond to you. The other thing I want you to think about is start listening to podcasts like this, or people I listen to, or The Money Guy, Dave Ramsey. One thing I like about those people is people that have consumers and other people on their shows that talk about business, CNBC Money, those type of people. The reason why I mostly listen to them is It's listening to all the different types of jobs and careers that people have and the steps they're taking, but mostly the jobs they have, because you don't know what you don't know. But if you put yourself in an arena that the information is going to come to you, then it can get your mind to start thinking about, hey, what are new opportunities I can pursue that will help me generate income? That's how you get yourself successful. You have to find out what you don't know. And it's hard to do that because you don't know what question to ask. But if you're getting yourself in an arena, like you're around people who are doing things that you want to do, but you don't know how they did it, that's one way to find out know what you don't know. If you're listening to a podcast about that constantly bring on new faces and new people that are paying off debt or advancing their career or whatever the case may be, that's helping you know what you don't know. If you're ready to purchase a car or ready to purchase a home and you actually listen and watch a lot of videos on people who did the process before you with a particular type of car, that will help you know what you don't know and help you formulate and gain a reality for the thing. The key to all this with money is, like I said, you want to be proactive. You want to know what you don't know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I know it was a little bit longer than I usually do, but it was so pertinent that I want you to understand these are things that you can do to get over the challenges of your money. I hope you enjoyed this. Like the video if you like it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.